Hi, welcome to the Corner of Knit and Tea, episode 530. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Blue Sky. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, which is where this episode and every episode's show notes will be. And I have an Etsy shop called The Corner of Knit and Tea, where I sell my hand-spun yarn and knitting patterns. Hi, how are you? It is Monday, July 28th, and the month is almost over. I am back from vacation and very much rested and still a little bit on island time, but ready to jump back into things. I hope that you are doing well. I just spent the past week on the big island of Hawaii, and we had a wonderful time. My parents were celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary, and all they really wanted to do was for all of us to go away on vacation together, so they generously took us all to Hawaii. My sister and her husband and my niece and nephew. It was their first big vacation and their first time to Hawaii. My sister and I went once before as kids, and my sister actually honeymooned there. And she and her husband are coming up on their 15th wedding anniversary, so that was kind of fun for them. But we all went and celebrated my parents for a week. My dad also had a birthday while we were there, so we got to be together for that. We explored volcanoes and beaches. We saw a sea turtle, which was absolutely the highlight of my trip. We ate wonderful food and relaxed and swam and played, and it was wonderful. I mostly tuned out everything in the real world and just enjoyed being there, and it was exactly the break that I needed. So I have had a lot of vacation this summer. I have been very blessed, but I am now home and mostly out of vacation time, so I should not be leaving you again for quite a while to come. And I have lots of crafting, and I am energized, and it is almost fall, and there's so much to do. So I hope that you're doing well, that the weather finds you in a good place, that you're not ill. I seem to have gotten over the cold that I had before I left, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I don't gain anything new. And I did some knitting on the trip. I have some knitting that I returned home to, and I have a new cast on, which I haven't cast on yet, but I'm planning to cast on this week. So I'll talk to you about that. I have a little bit of tea, and I have spinning. The official men's tour ended yesterday. However, the women's tour still rides this week, and because I've been away so much during the tour, I decided I was going to run for another week. So Tour de Fleece in my group extends for one more week, and I have hopes to finish one more skein. So let's jump right in. Today I am drinking iced tea because it is toasty here. It's up above 90 degrees. You may notice it's a little bit blue. It's a little bit hard to see. This is the Smith Teas, excuse me, blueberry jasmine, and it is very heavy on the jasmine, very light on the blueberry, but it is light and refreshing. It comes in sachets that make a pitcher of iced tea. And it has butterfly pea flower in it, which makes it actually blue. So it's like this beautiful kind of tealy blue. I'm drinking it in my Minions mug, Tervis mug, which will keep it nice and cold. And I just brewed up a whole pitcher, so I get to enjoy it all week long. So that is delicious and perfect for afternoons. I miss my, in Hawaii, a lot of the times they'll do kind of half tea, half fruit juice. And we went one place where they did like a passion fruit juice and iced tea, and it was absolutely stunning. I don't need it, but it was delicious. So the big thing that I worked on this past week and a half, and that I talked to you about before I left, was I worked on the new mystery shawl from Casapinka, and it is called Hiss and Vinegar, and it is a mystery shawl. It is knit on the bias, and it is basically a sampler shawl. She suggested that you pick 3 colors, and that they be quite contrasty. And the way I did this, sorry about the camera there, I have not knit a shawl, a mystery shawl in a long time, and I haven't been wearing a ton of shawls of late, especially since I started working from home, which was 7 years ago. And so I wasn't really sure that I was going to wear this shawl, but I really kind of wanted to knit it. And so I did something that's very not me. I went through my stash and I picked out a bunch of skeins in my stash that I had purchased at various points in time with no real purpose, and kind of just put them together and decided this was the palette I was working with, and decided to just go and not worry about it too much. So the 3 yarns that I picked are Treasure Goddess, my friend Christine, and this is her Treasure Toes sock yarn, which is 75% superwash merino wool, 25% nylon, 463 yards to 100 grams in the colorway Lusty Wench. So that is this one. It is a bright, cheerful orange. My second is a yarn that I got from Lola Bean, and let me see if I have the label on that. I thought I did, but I'm not seeing it in here. Is it in the center? It was in the center. Let me see if I can find it. It was a Lola Bean Yarn Co. and it was actually, I don't see it in here. It was a Lola Bean Yarn Co. and it was a sock set. I think it was to support Ukraine. And so it was a light blue and kind of a butter yellow. And I really wanted to buy it, and then I didn't knit the socks, and then I wasn't sure what to do. And the cool thing about it is that it's a pale blue, but it has speckles of orange. So it goes really, really nicely with the orange. So then for my third color, I auditioned lots of things, and what I found in my stash that I really loved, but only had half a skein of, is this blue. And this was a special set. It came with another 50, they were both 50 grams, and it came with another 50-gram skein. And this is, I believe it was a set of colorwork mittens that were supposed to go together, and it was a blue and a green. And the blue is Caribou Ba. It is a half skein, and normally it's 435 yards to 100 grams. And it is called Recombinant Sea Drew and the Case of the Mutant Strain. And so that is this color. So I have been working with these three colors, and I've really been enjoying them together. And originally I thought that I might add in the other half of that pair, which is the green, and that is called Deoxyribonucleic Asshat. I believe these were done several years ago at the sometime during the pandemic, when some folks did not want to talk about vaccinations and health science. And so it was a pair of mittens, and I can't remember whether it was a DNA strand or precisely what it was. I bought the set to make the mittens and then never made the mittens. So I have this green, but I kind of decided based on what I was knitting that I was digging it with the orange and blue and the dark blue. And so I haven't decided, but I think I'm not going to use the green. Instead, I went looking through my stash and I found some other things that I thought might work. And ultimately what I ended up doing is ordering one skein. Which for a 3 skein shawl from stash, I'm going to use 2.5 from stash, and I'm going to buy one and use half of that. So I will only have a half a skein left over, and I think that will fit my needs. But this is what I should say before I show it, if you are knitting and you do not want spoilers, then this would be the time to look away. I will not discuss too much of it in detail. I will say that it's knit on the bias, it's knit with these 3 colors, and I'm going to add a 4th color in soon. But this is what I have so far. So the first clue came out on Friday, the 18th of July, and I left on my trip on the night of the 18th. My flight plans changed, so I ended up leaving the night before I thought I was going to. So I printed out the clue, and I took it with me, and I knit the whole clue while I was on the plane and in Hawaii. And then the second clue came out the day before I flew home, and so I pulled that clue out, and I have started a little bit on that clue, but I think I'm going to modify it slightly to add in my next color. So I will show you what I have so far, which is all of clue 1 and then a little bit of clue 2. So if you want this to be a surprise, please look away now. Otherwise, I am going to show you Casapinka's Hiss and Vinegar knit along so far. So this is what I have so far. As I said, it's knit on the bias. It has a bunch of different sections. It has a bunch of fun different stitches that are lacy and have little floral patterns and some things that I didn't knit correctly. But basically, it is a sampler shawl with a lot of different sections that sort of interlock. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to finish, I believe these 3 little sets here of the stripes are done now. See, I'm trying to keep it fairly neutral. And I think I'm going to switch to back to one of my colors, and then I'm going to blend in the new color that I ordered today, which is kind of a peachy color to kind of complement the orange. So I think I'm going to do this with 4 colors, and I am really digging this. It's just fun because I'm constantly switching patterns, and I get to just knit a bunch of little stuff and see the colors play together. together, and I am really, really digging it. And my hope is that I will save more of this for later in the shawl. I'll probably work with the 3 colors for a little while, and then hope that I can add this in towards the other end of the shawl and make it last the whole time. So I went looking for another color that looked like this one in my stash, and I just don't have anything. And then I was trying to like color match online, and I knew that wasn't going to happen. And this is my own fault for selecting something that I knew I didn't have enough of, but I am going to make it work, and hopefully I'm really still going to be pleased with the finished result. I still don't know whether I'm going to keep it. I may end up giving it away. I just don't know. They are not colors. Well, okay, the blues are normally colors that I gravitate to. The orange is not. But we will see, because I'm kind of digging it. It's kind of fun. I'm loving the bright, colorful. So I am actually going to postpone working on this for a little while longer, both because I have something I can work on in the meantime, and because I'd like for the new color to get here so that I can start to think about how I'm going to incorporate that into the current clue. And then there are likely 3 or 4 more clues that will come over the next several weeks. They get released every morning on Friday. If you are interested, Casa Pinka has the knit along. The pattern is available on Ravelry. Unfortunately, that is the only way to get it because the updates come through Ravelry. Basically, you buy the pattern once and you get a new update with a clue each week. Eventually the pattern may be for sale on her website, but she generally tends to run things through Ravelry, so I will say that. I am enjoying it. It's been forever since I knit a shawl, and this kind of is fitting whatever I wanted it to fit in my life right now. So I did take some yarn with me, and I tried to cast on a top in Hawaii, and I only worked on it for about a day and decided that I don't want to do it. It was a combination of the yarn and the pattern and it not being a right fit, and I just decided that it's not happening right now. So I have lots of projects back home that I can devote my attention to, one of which is I would like to finish my Pampas Tea by Samantha Guerin. If you remember, when I traveled late June, early July, I knit most of this while I was gone, but I actually have been working on it since I got home, and I can't remember whether I had added these yet or not. So I am using the Pampas Tea is by Samantha Guerin. It is available both on Ravelry and on her website, and I do have a link to that. The yarn that I am using right now, oh, I found the Lola Bean tag. So it was Lola Bean 80/20 Superwash Merino silk weight fingering, and it's called Tell Me Something Good sock set. So that was that yarn. So now I am moving on to the next one, which is a tee. I got this yarn back when I was in Kentucky in May, so it was souvenir yarn, and it was from Northwood Fibers, and they are located in Wisconsin, and this is her butternut sock, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 400 yards to a skein, in the colorway Killing Me Softly, which is this great speckled pink. So, and I was concerned that I was going to run out of the yarn before I was able to finish the tee. And so what I did is I grabbed a skein of yarn that I had in the stash. This is called Feeling Fine Like Blackberry Wine. It is by Treasure Goddess. She does some great solids. I know my podcast is constantly featuring her yarns. I buy most of them. I love them. Anyway, I decided to use this as the edging. So I think I had actually already knit a lot of the edging on it before I left. What I did was I wanted to be able to use up as much of the yarn in the pattern as I could. So I went ahead and finished the sleeves, which were, I don't know, 6, 8, 10 rows of the pink. And then I added the burgundy plum at the edge and did that ribbing. And then I did, the neckline was actually supposed to be an I-cord neckline, and I started to knit it and didn't like the way it was coming out. So I went ahead and finished it off in 1x1 rib, the same way that I finished off the sleeves. And I'm not 100% thrilled with this. The yarn that I used for the ribbing at the neckband and the cuffs is actually a little bit lighter weight than the yarn in the regular top. The yarn in the regular top is 400 yards to the skein, and the yarn that I used elsewhere is 463 yards to the skein. And my concern about that is that it's just slightly thinner, and I don't know that I used quite small enough needle. So these are kind of loose and floppy, and I haven't decided whether I'm going to rip them and reknit them. But basically where I'm at is that I finished the top part, and I have plenty of yarn to go back and rip and reknit if I want to and knit it a little tighter. So if I want to go back, I will do that. But then what I am doing is finishing the body. So I want to knit about, the original pattern calls for the regular body to be finished at 10.5 inches, and then I believe an inch of ribbing. And I decided to lengthen that. And so I'm going to finish my body at 12 or 13 inches and then at an inch of ribbing. So it's going to be 14 inches total rather than 11 and a half. I just prefer something that kind of gets down to my hips. And so I wanted to wear it a little bit differently. The tee is a little bit, not exactly cropped, but it definitely sits at waist level. And so I wanted it to sit a little closer to hip level. So I'm just going to add those few extra inches. I have enough yarn to do it. In fact, I probably had enough yarn to do all the trim in this color too, but we're just going to keep going because it's done. I like it. And then I will finish off the hem and make this almost like a ringer tee. I'll finish off the hem in the dark color. So my plan is to try and finish this tee this week, especially since I'm paused on the other one. My plan is to try and crank this out so that this is done. I didn't bring this with me to Hawaii because it only had a little bit left and I didn't want to drag a whole sweater with me for just a little bit of knitting. I probably should have brought it anyway, but I didn't. So now that is what I'm going to do now that I'm back. So I'm going to work on that, and I'm going to work on the knit along. The next thing that I plan to cast on is Roxy's birthday sweater. Roxy is my niece. She'll be 12 in the fall, and I have picked out a pattern, which I don't have here because apparently I'm a really bad podcaster and I did not bring the name with me. I will link it in the show notes, or at least provide information for it in the show notes. And I'm going to be knitting it in Malabrigo Rios in this lush greeny teal colorway called Pines. Oh yes, I talked about that in a previous podcast and pronounced it differently. I'm going to call it Pines right now. Anyway, so I'm going to wind these up and get started on that sweater for Roxy as soon as I finish the one for myself. My hope is I'll finish that midweek and I will cast on for Roxy's sweater and we'll have that to show you. The other thing that is in my wheelhouse is I started that mosaic tee. I think it's called Sunrays. Sun something, Coastal Sun, the mosaic tee that I started that I didn't swatch for that I need to rip. My plan is to rip that and get back to working on that. So I will have 3 projects in process and we'll be bringing those to show you, and hopefully we'll have lots of progress to show you over the next few weeks. I am motivated to knit. One is kind of a fun summery top. One is that shawl, which I'm really enjoying the process on. And then one is a sweater for my niece for the fall. So I'm going to be working on all of those. So that brings me to the other half of the podcast, which is spinning. And I have been spinning for Tour de Fleece. I won't go through what Tour de Fleece is because we're winding down on the end, but suffice it to say that it goes on with the Tour de France, and it is the time of year that I love. I do lots of spinning. This year, my spinning has been limited for a couple reasons. One, I have been traveling quite a bit. I missed the first couple days of the tour because I was in Scotland, and then I missed last week because I was in Hawaii. I could have taken a spindle with me, but I did not, and everything else I'm spinning on my wheels. So the first week I spun a really gorgeous skein of pink and teal. It was primarily pink. It was called Flamingo, and I absolutely loved it. I showed it last week. I washed it and I sent it off to its forever home for a friend of mine. So it is gone. The second skein that I finished the night before we left, and it has not been washed yet, but this is... and now I'm forgetting the name of it. Oh, this is We Are All Winners. It is Corriedale, and it is yarn that I spun. It was a braid that I won from participating in Hello Yarns Tour de Fleece in 2023, not 2024. And it is a 2-ply. It's probably right around 300 yards sport weight. I think it would make really great socks. I have thought about keeping it to knit Christmas socks for myself because it does kind of have a little bit of that Christmas feel with the red and blue and a little bit of the green. But I think I'm probably going to wash it up and throw it up in the shop. So if that is something that interests you, that will be available probably later this week. It looks pretty good, but actually it has not had a bath yet. It needs a washing. I applied it the night before we left, and so I did not wash it, but I wanted to show it to you, and then I will finish it off and take some glamour shots. So that's 2 braids spun, basically 1 a week, which is nowhere near what I used to do. But ever since I've had tendonitis in my arm, it is the speed that I am comfortable going at. And so my hope is that this week I can spin a 3rd braid. With that in mind, I started another spin last night. This is also a Hello Yarn braid. This is it is Corriedale as well. I hoard the Corriedale so that I can make it for socks. Usually I spin up all the other braids for my shop, but I hoard the Corriedale, and this this one actually might go in the shop as well, because I realized I have probably 6 or 8 braids of Corriedale, and I do not need that many pairs of handspun socks. My sock drawer overflows and I don't wear through them. So yeah. Anyway, this is called Pit a Pat, and it was either a 2023 or 2024 club colorway, and it has got like this amazing brown and this amazing like mustard and bright yellow, and then it also has some contrasting colors, which is kind of a russet orange, and then some cool colors. It's got kind of a turquoise tealy blue, a little bit of almost green, and then into purple and lavender and a little bit of sea foam, and then back into the yellow and orange. So I am working on this. This is 2 ounces. The first 2 ounces is currently on the wheel. I have about 1 ounce of it spun, and my hope is that I can spin through and ply this one more braid before the women's tour finishes on Sunday, August 3rd. So that is my plan for this week, and then I hope that I will be able to keep up and do more spinning. I used to spin a braid a week, or more. I haven't done that in a while. Usually during Tour de Fleece, I was spinning a new braid every couple days because I was spending so much time spinning. Basically, I'm spending about 30 minutes a day spinning when I am home, and that seems to be working for my arm and working so that I can produce some yarn. And my hope is that I will do more spinning in the coming months because I've really enjoyed it and gotten back into it. The final thing, and I didn't bring anything to show you, is I do have a new quilt that I'm going to start. I'm hoping to sit down and do some fabric cutting this weekend, and I will bring some of that to show you as I continue on. It is a quilt for a friend, and sometimes she watches the podcast, so I don't know how much I'll actually share here until the quilt is gifted and given, but I might talk about it a little bit in the process. But so my plan is to get started working on that. So I have a very full couple months. I have lots of knits I want to do. I have lots of spins I want to do. I have lots of quilting I want to do, and I'm feeling kind of inspired, which is nice because I haven't felt craftily inspired in a while. So I think I'm going to end it there. That's a little bit of a short podcast, but I don't have anything else to show you, and I would like to get back to finishing work so that I can finish the day and get back to crafting at the end of the day. So I hope that you have a lovely week ahead. I will not be leaving again for quite a while until the holidays, so there shouldn't be any more interruptions, and with any luck, I'll have lots of fun things to show you in the coming weeks. I hope that you're doing well, and I will say, as I always do, happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye.